And why it is important to build ideal Muslim family? Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nar. O people of Iman, save yourself and your families with the miseries and difficulties of hellfire. This is the reason. This is the reason why we have to develop ideal Muslim families, role model Muslim families, not only for your Muslim brothers and sisters, but also for those who follow other faiths. They are looking for that guidance. So the first thing I will say to all the mothers and fathers here, raise your children yourself. And you may say, well, that's what we are doing. We have our kids go to school, we drop them, take them to soccer games, we spend time with our kids. American Academy of Psychiatry published an article recently, 2024, and this is a sequence of articles which they have published between 2013 and 2024. You know what? The screen time of a child who is less than 11 years of age, screen time of a child average in Western world is 7 hours and 3 minutes. That is the average screen time a child is spending who is less than 11 years of age. And the children who are, and the adolescents which are teenagers, the studies suggest they are spending more than 8 hours every single day on the screen. Instagram, Snapchats, X, whatever the social media outlets are there. So if a child spends 8 hours with the screen, social media, he spends or she spends 8 hours in the school or college, that's 16 hours, and sleeps 7 or 8 hours at home, that's 24 hours. So where are we? Where is the father and where is the mother in the tarbiyah of any child in this country? Take back the position of raising your children by yourself. And I, inshallah, can always give clues either in a group or in individual meetings if anybody is interested to know how to do that. Secondly, in many of our families, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us roles for each family member. What is the role of the mother? What is the role of the father? And what is the role of the children? It's given by the Sunnah and Quran to us. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ar-Rijal Qawwamuna 'ala an-Nisaa, that is the role which is given to the father. When Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, each one of you is a shepherd, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you about the responsibility given, and he specifically mentions the wife. The role of the wife is clear. And in the same long hadith, Prophet even mentions the role of the children. Roles are defined, but unfortunately, in many of the Muslim households, particularly in the West, those roles are reversed and mixed up. Sometimes the Rijal Qawwam, the role of the Qawwam is not the father himself or maybe the mother, or even sometimes the children become the Qawwam of the house. The responsibility of a mother has changed multiple fold in Western societies. So that needs to be fixed. The third thing, in many of our households, in many of the Muslim households, even in the Western countries, the overall atmosphere of love and affection Hazrat Abu Hurairah reports that Prophet ﷺ was holding Hazrat Hussain in his lap and he kissed him on his forehead. And Aqra, who was one of the companions, he told Prophet ﷺ, "You kissed your grandson? I have 10 children, I have never kissed them." And the response of our beloved Prophet ﷺ was, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes away the mercy from the heart of a person, if you don't do mercy to others, you will not receive the mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This mercy, and another hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam you might have heard multiple times, that he is not amongst us who does not respect our elders and does not have love and affection and mercy for our children. So this love and affection in the houses, I have seen so many family conflicts. As a pediatrician, when I talk to a teenager, Muslim teenager, boy and girl, let me tell you, what they tell me in individual meetings without their parents is not very pleasant. The ayah of Quran, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ, that the families which have the role of the Quran, the hukum of Quran, that they control their anger and they forgive people. This should be the culture of our houses. This should start from our own houses. Husband to wife, wife to husband, parents to children and children to parents. That they control their anger and they forgive their fellow human beings, particularly their own family members. Another important thing which is missing and which we see a problem in our family, this is a major problem actually. Many of our houses in families, Muslim families, they practice the religion of Islam on part-time basis. Quran tells us, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqin. O people of Iman, find yourself in the company of those who are righteous. And also, Quran tells us, udkhulu fi silmi kaffa wala tattabi'u khutuwati shaitan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. And the ayah starts, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. O people of Iman, enter the religion of Islam with its entirety. It's a complete package. One thing which is we do, we piggyback Islam with other concepts we have in our life. What we do, that we practice Islam whenever it suits us. But on the other times, we give ourselves and our families, and our children are the first one to notice that. And the Qurani ayah of Quran tells us very specifically what shaitan does to people of Iman. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. That shaitan makes you a part-time Muslim. It gives you an idea, he gives you an idea to not practice the Islam with its entirety. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, don't be a Jummah Muslim. Don't be a Ramzan Muslim. Don't be a Muslim for Eid. Be a Muslim 24/7, 365 days a year. One thing which I just mentioned in the ayah, which is also very important, and this is also make and break, which I see in many families. Try to stay in the company of Sadiqeen. Try to stay in the company. Prophet ﷺ told us, the people you hang out in this dunya will be the same people whom you will be hanging out on the day of judgment. Find the right people for your family, for yourself, for your social circles, for your entertainment, for your wedding ceremonies, for your graduation parties. Find the right people. Otherwise, if you stay in the company of people who spoil, who rust your iman, you will not be able to create a family which is an ideal Muslim family. And I'll finish with a couple of points. Two things more in dues. All of you who are sitting here in this convention is organized by Islamic Circle of North America, Canada. Make yourself and your families available for the service of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because this is the reason, this is the mission of our life. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس وتأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. This is the reason why we are sent to this world. And when you come to a convention like this, and when you leave this convention, there are so many things you can get involved with, and you can get your families involved with. Start early. Whether it's a ICNA relief work, serving the food and hungry, whether it is a Why Islam Dawa work to ask others to accept Islam, whether it is Sisters Division of ICNA, which is asking hundreds and thousands of sisters to read Quran together, whether it is the youth program of ICNA, Why Islam, where all the youth come together and practice the religion of Islam and trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the ayah of Quran, وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. This ICNA is your one-stop shop, where you will get the opportunity to get involved. Until and unless you and your family is not involved in the khair, in the work of deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the mission given by Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to us, we will not be able to create role model Muslim families. And the last thing in dues, my brothers and sisters, this weapon which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us, the power of dua. Stand up at night. Stand up at night. Shed some tears. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the hidayah of yourself and your family. Rabbana hab lana min azwajina wa zurriyatina qurrata ayun waj'alna lil muttaqina imama. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make me, my wife and my children coolness of my eyes, and make us among those who are the front soldiers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This dua and the duas like this. Prophet told us that the three duas which are never rejected, one of those, that dua is the dua of father for his son or daughter. And many scholars have said both parents dua for their son and daughter. How can we not benefit from that? When Prophet said that, it has to be the truth. It has to be the right thing to say. How many times we get up in the middle of the night and ask for the hidayah of our children and our families. And among the don'ts, I have only two things to add. First of all, your family is your capital. Your family is your sarmaya. All other bank balances, the cars, the houses, you will leave them when you leave the world. But you know what? Something which will benefit you when you are under tons of mud in a grave, something which will benefit you will be your soleh, pious children. That is your capital. That is the sarmaya we have. Do we realize that? So using them, training them, making duas for them, changing your life for them, giving up your own ideas, your temptations, do that for you. And the last thing before I go, for all parents and future parents also. The last thing I would say, when you are in your household with your family, the last thing you would like to do, the last thing you should do, the thing which you should never do, don't disappoint your children and your family with your character and with your morality. Don't disappoint them. That is the worst possible thing a father or mother can do. If your son or daughter see you doing something, whether it's a cell phone or in TV, talking to somebody, abusive language, your eyes, your vision, your gazebasar, all those moral values which are created, which you want to see in your own children, don't disappoint them. If you disappoint them, they will not only be disappointed with you, they will also be disappointed with your faith. They will also be disappointed with your religion. Don't do that. Remember, the last thing I will go, and before I leave, we will be on the day of judgment with our families, with the families of Shohada and martyrs of Gaza. Don't disappoint them also. When you leave this place, we owe those Shohada, we owe those martyrs. Every single blood shed, every single blood shed, drop of blood shed in Gaza is increasing my and your questions in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are getting what they wanted. They are successful in dunya and akhirah. They will be the highest place of Jannah. But they are leaving this world, watching you, seeing the genocide with your own eyes. If you have not done anything for them, it will be very difficult for us to answer those questions. May Allah make us among those who can raise our families the way Prophet ﷺ raised his family. Say Ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make among those, when we reach to see in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we are there, our families become a source for us to escalate the level of Jannah. Say Ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those that till the last breath of our life, the recitation which Haris just did, when we leave this world, we leave this world in the state of Iman and a supporter of our Shohada of Gaza. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Ansari, for that beautiful speech over there. So now we'll be moving forward. Just to reiterate some of the beautiful points I captured from that for Dr. Ansari, would include the different culture of families we see in Islam within different households day to day that we visit. That was very beautiful to see that how many families practice Islam differently from one another. Another point to notice was the roles of family members within a family under one roof. All the roles were defined to us, and we in the Western society need to acknowledge those roles as well. Moving forward, following the same kind of concept, we'll be moving into maintaining family unity, the relationships within a family, which include the relationship of a husband and wife, parents with their children, and children amongst themselves as siblings. In today's world, with so many pressures and stress that we build up, anxiety levels with high school, university, jobs that we do, it's more important than ever to keep our families together, keep them as one, and unite them as a community and one ummah. Not only for our personal gain, but the gain of the greater good of Islam. When we prioritize the well-being of our family members, our friends, the close ones around us, we build a love, support, and understanding like no other. We're helping to build this unity for everyone around us. By nurturing our families, we contribute to a more connected environment, to a more connected society, to a more connected youth. Introducing our next speaker, Sister Haleh Banani, who is a faith-based life coach and marriage counselor with a master's in clinical psychology. Sister Haleh has founded the Mindful Hearts Academy and the 5 Pillars of Marriage program. and she's been working over 3 decades to empower women and families. The biggest evidence of her work is she's been married with her beloved best friend for over 27 years with 3 beautiful adult children as well. So let's give a warm, warm welcome to Sister Khalid Benaim.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MashaAllah. I want to take first a moment to appreciate all the organizers. We come as speakers and we talk for 30 minutes, but it has been taken, I'm sure, months, maybe 6 months to organize an event like this. So an acknowledgement for the organizers, the volunteers, all the people behind the scenes. So let's hear it for the organizers. Bismillah, wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulullah. I'm going to make a very bold statement right now, and I'll say that what I'm going to share in this talk is the prerequisite in getting unity as an ummah. Okay, so for those of you who listen carefully till the end, you'll see why, inshallah. Unity, what a powerful and essential theme for the world we're living in right now. Our strength, our survival, and our identity as Muslims depend on our ability to unite as one. Unity is a source of strength. Unity is a source of peace. And unity is a source of victory. When we are united, we are unstoppable. When we are united, we cultivate peace. When we are united, we achieve success as an ummah. And when we are united, we achieve victories. Victory over division, victory over conflict, and victory over the forces that try to tear us apart. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. You hear this verse over and over in this conference. Hold firmly to the rope of Allah and do not become divided. But how can we dream of unity among the ummah when we are not even united within our own homes? Husbands and wives act like enemies to one another, fighting, yelling, resorting to violence, or giving each other the silent treatment, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months at a time. How can we dream of unity among the ummah when parents abuse their children verbally, emotionally, and even physically? When children are disrespectful, living double lives, questioning Islam, and planning their escape? How can we aspire to overlook our differences as nations when we can't even overlook them within our own families? Brothers and sisters, the home is the foundation of our society, the first place where unity must be established. If we cannot create harmony, love, and understanding between the people closest to us, our own families, how can we hope to create unity on a larger scale? This is where the transformation must begin. If we want to see the ummah rise again, if we want to overcome the challenges of division and disunity, we must start in our homes. Unity begins between the husband and wife, between the parent and child, between the siblings. This is where the seeds of unity are planted. And from here, they grow to strengthen the larger community. The best of you are those who are best to their families. This is not just a reminder of how we should be with our families. It is a reminder. It is a reminder that the strength of the ummah lies in the strength of the family. The peace, respect, and love we cultivate at home will spill over to the wider community, and only then will we be able to stand united as people. Unity in the family doesn't just happen by accident. It takes effort, it takes intention, and it takes a commitment to the values that bring people together. We can't just hope for unity or expect it from others. We have to work on it, moment by moment, day by day. So how do we achieve this? How do we achieve unity within the family? How do we instill love, trust, and peace? It all starts with important principles that build on unity, not just at home, but in every part of our lives. To make it easy, I'll explain it using an acronym, UNITY, where each letter will represent the value we need to embrace. Are you ready? Inshallah? Bismillah. All right, so the U, what do you think the U stands for in unity? Anyone? Any guesses? Let's start with U is for understanding. U is for understanding. The first and most fundamental step in building unity is understanding. Now, if you look at most conflict, whether it's between a husband and wife, whether it's between a parent and a child, or whether it's even between the siblings, there is a misunderstanding, a lack of understanding. Too often, what do people think? I see this all the time with my clients. They come and they tell their spouse or their children, I'm right, you're wrong, and this is how you need to change. Now, imagine how different would our relationships be if we truly sought to understand before demanding to be understood. Think of it this way. If you are driving in a car, but you never check your mirrors, you never look around you and where other people are, how can you avoid a collision? Now, in the same way, if we never take the time to understand, we never take the time to understand other people's perspectives, their emotions, their struggles, how can we avoid conflict? So understanding is the mirror we must look into before moving forward into the relationship. I will repeat this. So for each letter and each value, I'm going to give you an analogy because I want this to really stick. I want you to remember it. I want you to apply it because the knowledge will either count for us or against us. So I want it to stick so you apply it, inshallah, so it will count for you. So understanding is the mirror we must look into before moving forward into any relationship. So when you listen without interrupting, that's a hard one for some people, right? So if you have a tendency to interrupt and you're like, but let me tell you this, or you become defensive, I challenge you to listen without interrupting. Give the person a chance to express themselves. You need to validate. Validate. This is the secret sauce for resolving problems. Please write this down, that validating is not equal to agreeing. What do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. Let's say you had a really terrible day at work, and maybe either your employee or let's say your supervisor got mad and made you embarrassed, and you come and you share it with your spouse. What do you expect from your spouse? what do you expect? You expect some empathy, right? Now, if they got in trouble for being late and you're always mad at them for being late, that's not the time to say, well, of course they're going to pick on you. You're never on time. And it's not the time to say, well, you know what, they're actually a really nice person. You don't want to side with the enemy. All you do at that moment, you want to hear an easy way out of conflict? Say, that must have been really hurtful and embarrassing that happened. The next time your spouse comes and tells you, you know what your mother did? Your mother, she just mistreated me or she excluded me. You don't immediately say, no, you're wrong, she's right. You say, it must have been very hurtful that my mom treated you this way. It must have been very hurtful to experience that. And that's it, okay? All right, we gotta move right along. So understanding lays the foundation, but nurturing love is what allows the unity to flourish. Once we understand, we must nurture the relationship. So what do you think the N is for? The N is for nurturing. You have to nurture this relationship like a gardener. And the analogy is a gardener. What does a gardener have to do? They have to water, they have to provide sunlight, they have to take care of it. If they do, they will see such results, right? So we want to make sure that we are nurturing this love and putting a lot of effort into it. And how do we show? How do we nurture? How do we give love? By showing the 5 A's of loving. 5 A's. The first A, appreciation. Show appreciation. Your wife makes a meal. Say thank you so much. Your spouse is helping out at the home. I really appreciate what you're doing. The first A, appreciation. Second A, affection. Give hugs. Do you know that if you hug for 10 seconds, you release oxytocin? Make sure you do that with your spouse on a daily basis. The third A, allowing. Allow your spouse to grow. Allow them to excel. Allow them to have me time. Fourth A, attention. Put your phones away and give undivided attention. And the fifth one is acceptance. Stop trying to change your spouse. Accept them as they are. Now, so we said what? The U is for understanding, right? The N is nurturing. What do you think the I is? While nurturing love is crucial, it can only thrive when the I is for integrity. When there is integrity. Because integrity forms a foundation of trust. And trust, my brothers or sisters, is a non-negotiable. In any relationship, no lies, not big ones, not little ones. We cannot afford to break the trust of our spouse. And spouse, if you think about it, trust has several layers. There is loyalty, where you know the other person is not going to be disloyal to you in any way. Then there's being reliable. You say you're going to do something, do it. You say you're coming home at 5, come home. Or if not, call and say, under promise, over deliver. This is a business concept that works great with relationships. And then there is the trust in knowing how to say the right thing at the right time. Build the trust with your spouse. And just like a house, so what is the analogy for integrity? This is like the foundation, a foundation of your home. If your foundation has cracks in it, then what is going to come up? It's going to break down when you build on it. So you can't have deceit, you can't have deception, you can't have suspicious behavior. While integrity lays the foundation for trust, true unity within a family thrives on teamwork. So the T for unity is teamwork. Teamwork. Think of your family as a dynamic sports team where everyone has a role to play. Just like players, right? The players, they have different positions on the field. Each family member brings something special to the table. Husband and wives, you are not opponents to one another. You are on the same team. Your favorite team, let's take a soccer team. If they start tripping each other, what's going to happen? They're not going to win. They don't stand a chance. Don't undermine your spouse in front of the children. Children, your parents are not your enemy. They are not your enemy. See each other as a team and work together. Because if you recognize that you're working towards one goal, then you will definitely prosper, inshallah. So we've discussed the power of teamwork, right, within the families, being like a sports team, and that we're all working towards the same goal. Now let's delve into another critical aspect. What do you think the Y stands for? You'll never guess. What is the Y? The Y is for yielding. Yielding. So sometimes, now unity sometimes requires yielding. I want to ask you a question. What do you think? What is a three-letter word that destroys all relationships? Any guesses? Ego. Very good. So sometimes unity sometimes requires yielding, sacrificing your ego, letting go of your pride, prioritizing the relationship over being right. I remember I had a Swiss-Italian neighbor, a revert, mashallah, and one of her favorite expressions was, win the hearts, not the arguments. And if we live by that, it's not about winning or losing. It's about winning the hearts. It's about pleasing Allah. We're going to be held accountable for every hurtful word we say, for every act that we do. It's all being recorded. It's going to be played back to us. So really, we need to suppress the ego. Now, what is the analogy for yielding? I want you to see yourself like a bamboo tree. Bamboo trees, now we just saw the storm, the hurricane in Florida, and may Allah protect everybody there, and may Allah protect our ummah throughout the world, inshallah. What is happening? Some trees just break, right? But then you see there are the trees that sway. And what we need to be is be able to be flexible and not so rigid, right? And yielding requires humility, patience, and sometimes the strength to be silent when your ego screams for you to fight back. So we know that if someone has a mustard seed of arrogance in their heart, they won't even be able to smell Jannah. And they're humble people out there, but when it comes to their marriage, when it comes to their relationships, there's a lot of ego. And there's this idea of wanting to be right. So we need to be humble and let go of this need to be right. So when we bring together, as a recap, okay, so we have U is for understanding, right? When we have understanding, first seek to understand, then be understood. N is for nurturing love, nurture it like a gardener. Make sure you're making the love better and stronger. What is I for? Integrity. Y'all are paying attention? That's great, mashallah. So integrity, make sure there's trust. You don't lie, you don't act deceitful. What is the T for? Teamwork. Teamwork is dream work, right? You work together as one team. And then the Y is for yielding. Excellent. So inshallah, may Allah put this sense of unity in our hearts. And now you see why this is the prerequisite of getting unity within our ummah. We need to start at home, build the unity, strengthen at home, so that inshallah as an ummah we can thrive and we can rise again. May Allah bring peace to our brothers and sisters in Gaza, in the brothers and sisters in Lebanon, in Yemen, and all over the world, in Sudan and also in China. And may Allah help us to establish this form of unity in order to thrive. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.